3 days after Robert died, I sat at the kitchen table trying to make sense of the bank statements. December 26th, the day after Christmas. The house was too quiet. I'd made coffee that morning. 2 cups. Force of habit. His was in the blue mug with the chip on the handle, the one he'd used for 20 years. Mine was in the cup our step-granddaughter Emma made at summer camp. I'd set both on the table before I remembered. Robert's cup just sat there, getting cold. The phone rang. Eleanor, my neighbor from 3 houses down. "Maggie, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it yesterday. I had that doctor's appointment in New Haven, but I kept thinking about you. How are you holding up?" I stared at Robert's empty chair. "I'm managing, one day at a time." The service was beautiful, simple, just how Robert would have wanted it. My hand went numb. The phone slipped, hit the kitchen floor. I heard Eleanor's voice, distant. "Maggie, are you there?" I picked up the phone. My voice didn't sound like mine. "What service?" "The funeral, yesterday at Morrison's. I wanted to be there, but—" "Eleanor." I stood up. The chair scraped against the floor, too loud. "There wasn't any funeral yesterday." Silence. Then, "Maggie, I got the notification from the funeral home. Service for Margaret Sullivan, Tuesday, 2 o'clock. I tried to go, but—" "Who sent the notification?" It came from Morrison's funeral home. The email said family had arranged—" I hung up. My hands were shaking. I called Morrison's. The receptionist answered on the 3rd ring. "Morrison's funeral home. How may I help you?" "This is Margaret Sullivan. My husband Robert died last Friday. Can you tell me if there was a service held yesterday?" Papers rustling, computer keys clicking. "Yes, Mrs. Sullivan. Service held Tuesday, December 24th at 2 p.m. Viewing prior burial at Riverside Cemetery. Paid in full by Vanessa Sullivan." Vanessa, my stepdaughter. "I didn't arrange any service." A pause. "The arrangements were made by Miss Sullivan. She indicated she was handling everything for the family." I don't remember hanging up. I stood there. The coffee maker dripped. The refrigerator hummed. Outside, someone was shoveling snow. Normal sounds. But nothing was normal. They buried Robert, without telling me. I sat down, looked at the table, his reading glasses on the newspaper, the crossword half finished, our wedding photo by the window, 43 years. That photo was from our anniversary last year, both of us smiling, Robert's arm around me. I'd missed his funeral, the last time I would have seen him, the last goodbye. Vanessa had taken that from me. Why? My eyes landed on Robert's desk in the corner. The file drawer was still open from yesterday when I'd been looking for insurance information. I walked over, pulled out the Hartford Life folder, the life insurance policy, the one Robert took out 10 years ago, $350,000. I'd always been the beneficiary. That was the plan, the retirement security we'd counted on. I looked at the policy, read the beneficiary line. Wait, the name wasn't right. I didn't sleep that night. Too many questions. The next morning, I sat at Robert's desk, opened the file drawer, started going through everything: marriage license, tax returns, the deed to the house, medical records, and the insurance policy, that beneficiary line. It had said Margaret Sullivan. I was sure of it. Robert and I had talked about it when he bought the policy 10 years ago, after his first heart scare. "If anything happens to me," he'd said, "you'll be taken care of." That was the whole point. But now I wasn't sure what I'd seen. Grief does things to your mind, makes you doubt yourself. I needed to understand what was happening. And to do that, I needed to understand Vanessa. Robert's first marriage had been ugly. Bitter divorce when Vanessa was 8 years old. She spent years shuttled between houses, used as a pawn. Her mother poisoned her against Robert. Every visit was a battle. When Robert met me 2 years later, Vanessa saw me as the enemy, the replacement. I understood why she struggled to accept me. Children of divorce carry scars. I tried for 20 years. I really did. invited her to holidays, sent birthday cards to her kids, always made her favorite dishes when she visited, but there was always this wall between us. She called me Maggie, never Mom. That was fine. I wasn't trying to replace her mother. I just wanted peace. And Robert wanted his daughter in his life. So we helped. We always helped. Over the last 20 years, we'd given Vanessa $125,000, $18,000 for her college tuition when she switched majors twice and needed an extra year, $25,000 we co-signed for her first house down payment in 2010, $12,000 for her wedding at that country club she insisted on, $40,000 when Todd's first business failed in 2015, another $30,000 when the second one collapsed in 2019. Robert never said no to her, and I never said no to Robert. That was our pattern. I knew Todd's latest business had failed too. Some tech startup that made an app nobody wanted. They'd lost everything. Their savings, investors' money, people who'd trusted them. Vanessa had mentioned they were behind on the mortgage, 6 months behind. They'd gotten foreclosure notices. The kids' private school had called about unpaid tuition. I felt bad for them. I really did. Bankruptcy is humiliating, especially in their social circle. All those country club friends, the other parents at school. Everyone knows everyone in Westport. The shame of it. I understood why Vanessa was desperate, but that didn't explain the funeral. Looking back, there were signs. 6 months ago, Vanessa had asked Robert about his estate plans. We were having dinner at their house. She'd brought it up casually, too casually. Dad, have you and Maggie updated your wills recently? You should really review everything. Make sure it's all in order. Robert had laughed. I'm 68, not 90. I've got time. But Vanessa pressed. You never know. And with medical issues, you should have everything clear. Power of attorney, healthcare proxy, beneficiaries on accounts. I'd felt uncomfortable. Robert's health was fine. Why was she asking this? Robert had dismissed it, changed the subject to Tyler's soccer team. Then 2 months before Robert died, Vanessa offered to help organize his paperwork, said she'd been taking an estate planning course, could look everything over, make sure it was all updated properly. Robert had seemed pleased, his daughter taking an interest, wanting to help. I'd said nothing. Didn't want to cause problems, didn't want to seem suspicious of his own daughter. That was my mistake. 43 years of keeping the peace, of smoothing things over, of making everyone comfortable, even when my gut said something was wrong. That afternoon, Eleanor came by, my neighbor. We'd lived 3 houses apart for 15 years. She'd been in my book club since it started. We met every Thursday at the library to discuss whatever mystery novel someone had picked. Eleanor had lost her husband to cancer 5 years ago. She understood what I was going through. The empty house, the silence, the way grief sits in your chest like a stone. She brought a casserole. Tuna. In one of those vintage Pyrex dishes, she was always circulating among the widowed women on our street. She let herself in through the back door. That's how we did things on Sycamore Lane. Close enough to have keys, respectful enough to knock first. You look tired, she said. I didn't sleep. She set the casserole in the fridge, put the kettle on for tea, found the cookies I'd been ignoring for 3 days. We sat at the kitchen table. Eleanor. I looked at her. Did you know about the funeral before it happened? She went still. No, I got an email Tuesday morning from Morrison's. Said services for Margaret Sullivan at 2 p.m. I assumed you'd arranged it. I tried to make it, but I had that doctor's appointment in New Haven. I felt terrible about missing it. I didn't arrange anything. I know that now. She reached across the table, touched my hand. Maggie, what's going on? I told her. About the phone call, the funeral home, Vanessa's name on everything, the insurance policy I wasn't sure about anymore. Eleanor listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then, 2 years ago, my daughter Linda tried to convince me to make her executor of my estate instead of my attorney. She had all these reasons, said it would be easier, more personal. Family should handle family matters. Eleanor looked out the window. I almost did it. To keep the peace. Then I asked my attorney what he thought. He said I should do whatever made me comfortable, but family members as executors can complicate things, especially if there are multiple heirs. I kept him as executor. Linda was upset, didn't talk to me for 3 months. Why are you telling me this? Because Vanessa asked Robert about his estate plans. Then she arranged his funeral without telling you. Eleanor looked at me. Maybe you should check those insurance papers more carefully. That evening, I made dinner. Just for me. 1 plate. I stood there looking at the table. 2 chairs. I'd sat in the same chair for 43 years. Robert across from me. At 6 o'clock, I'd set the table. 2 plates. But tonight, I caught myself. Stood there with the second plate in my hand for 5 minutes before I put it back in the cabinet. Some days, grief is just math, subtracting 1 from 2, over and over. I ate at the kitchen counter, couldn't sit at that table alone. After dinner, Eleanor came back, knocked this time. I brought something. She was holding our wedding album. I'd lent it to her months ago when she was making a photo collage for her granddaughter's wedding. We sat in the living room. She opened the album. 43 years ago, Robert in that brown tuxedo he thought was so stylish. Me in my mother's dress, young, hopeful, ready. Eleanor pointed to one photo, the wedding party. Vanessa was there, 8 years old, flower girl, white dress, not smiling, standing as far from me as she could get while still being in the photo. She was just a kid, I said. Eleanor didn't say anything, just turned the page. The next morning, I started going through Robert's office properly, not just glancing at files, really looking. His desk was oak. Bought it 30 years ago at an estate sale. He loved that desk. Spent Saturday mornings there paying bills, doing taxes, keeping everything organized. That was Robert. Methodical, careful. Everything had a place. I opened the file drawer. The accordion folder labeled Insurance was right where it always was. I pulled it out, set it on the desk. Inside were 3 policies. Health insurance from Robert's employer, the life insurance policy from Hartford Life that I'd looked at 2 days ago, and behind it, another Hartford Life folder. I opened it. Same policy number, same account, but different paperwork. I laid both documents side by side. The first one was dated January 2015, the policy Robert had bought after his heart scare. I remembered that day. We'd sat at this desk together. The insurance agent had gone through everything. Coverage amount, $350,000. Beneficiary, Margaret Sullivan. Primary, 100%. Robert had pointed to my name. See? You'll be taken care of. The second document was a beneficiary change form, dated March 15, 2024, less than a year ago. Beneficiary changed to Vanessa Sullivan Torres. I stared at it, read it 3 times. Robert had changed the beneficiary to Vanessa without telling me. No, that didn't make sense. We just talked about retirement in February, about finally taking that Alaskan cruise we'd been planning, about selling the house eventually and moving somewhere smaller. Robert had said, "At least we have the insurance, the house equity. We'll be comfortable." Why would he give the insurance to Vanessa? I looked at the signature line. Robert's name. But something about it looked wrong. I pulled out our marriage license from the filing cabinet, kept it in the front of the legal documents folder. 43 years. The paper was yellowing. But Robert's signature was clear. The way his R looped, the sharp angle on the S in Sullivan, the way the letters connected. I compared it to the insurance form. Different. The March 2024 signature was neater, more deliberate. The R didn't loop the same way. The S was rounded. The letters were separated. My hands started shaking. I turned on Robert's computer, waited for it to boot up, found the folder where he kept scanned financial documents, opened the bank statements from March 18th, a withdrawal, $2,000, cash, from the ATM on Main Street. Robert never took out that much cash at once, and he hated ATMs. Always went inside the bank. Said he didn't trust those machines. I picked up the phone, called First National Bank. The automated system put me on hold. Piano music. A recorded voice every 30 seconds. Your call is important to us. Finally, someone picked up. First National, this is Derek. How can I help you? This is Margaret Sullivan. My husband Robert passed away recently. I'm going through his accounts. There's a large ATM withdrawal on his statement from March 18th. $2,000. Can you tell me anything more about that? I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Sullivan. Let me pull up the account. Keys clicking. A pause. March 18th. Yes, ma'am. $2,000 withdrawal from the Main Street branch ATM at 3:47 p.m. That's all the information available for ATM transactions. Is there any way to know what that withdrawal was for? Robert never used ATMs. He always came inside. I understand, ma'am, but ATM withdrawals don't include purchase information or itemization, just the location and amount. If you're concerned about unauthorized activity, I can connect you with our fraud department. No, thank you. I hung up, sat there. Robert withdrawing $2,000 in cash 3 days after he got home from the hospital, when he could barely walk from the bedroom to the bathroom. Something was wrong. I pulled up the March credit card statement on the computer, scrolled through the charges, grocery store, gas station, pharmacy. Then I saw it. March 15th. A charge. $75. Total Docs Notary Service. Stamford, CT. I'd never heard of it. I Googled the name. Notary Service in Stamford. Professional Document Services. Apostille Services. Mobile notary available. About 20 minutes from our house. I dialed the number listed on their website. A woman answered on the second ring. Total Docs Notary. This is Sandra. Hi, this is Margaret Sullivan. My husband Robert passed away recently. I'm going through his financial records and I see a charge from your service on March 15th. Can you tell me what that was for? A pause. I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Sullivan. March 15th. Let me check our records. I heard pages turning, or maybe computer keys. Yes, March 15th. A beneficiary change form was notarized. Life insurance document. Hartford Life Insurance Company. My chest went tight. Who brought in the document? More rustling. Vanessa Sullivan. She said her father was too ill to come in. Asked if we could notarize the document for him. She brought the paperwork already signed. Did you see my husband? Did Robert Sullivan come to your office that day? No, ma'am, just his daughter. Miss Sullivan brought the document in. She said her father had signed it at home but couldn't travel due to medical reasons. I notarized her signature as a witness that she brought the document. That's standard procedure when someone can't come to the office due to illness or... Wait, you notarized her signature? Not his? Correct. I witnessed that she presented the document. I can't notarize a signature I didn't personally witness, but I can notarize that a person brought in a document and attested to its authenticity. That's what I did for Ms. Sullivan. So you never saw Robert sign anything? A longer pause. No, ma'am, I did not. I hung up, sat there, breathing. March 15th. I grabbed my phone. Opened the calendar app, scrolled back to March. March 15th was a Friday. What was happening that day? Then I remembered. The hospital stay. Robert had pneumonia. Bad. They'd admitted him March 8th. I'd been there every day, all day. The nurses knew me by name. Robert had been so weak, coughing constantly, barely eating. They'd had him on IV antibiotics, Levaquin, strong stuff. He'd been complaining about side effects, shaky hands, dizzy spells. He'd come home March 14th, Thursday evening. I'd picked him up around 6, brought him home, put him straight to bed. He'd slept 14 hours. Friday, March 15th, he woke up around 10. I made him breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast. He ate maybe 3 bites, went back to bed, slept most of the day. I checked on him every hour, brought him water, his medication. He never left the bedroom, certainly didn't sign any documents, and Vanessa was at a notary office in Stamford with his signature on an insurance form. I looked at the two insurance documents again, side by side, the 2015 signature, the 2024 signature. I pulled out a birthday card Robert had written me last year, found it in my desk drawer. I'd saved it, his handwriting on the envelope. To my beautiful wife. I compared all three signatures, the marriage license from 1982, the birthday card from 2023, the insurance form from March 2024. The first two matched. Same loop on the R, same sharp S, same connected letters, same slight upward slant. The insurance form didn't match at all. Someone had forged Robert's signature. The phone rang, made me jump. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Then I did. Mrs. Sullivan, this is Patricia Monroe from Hartford Life Insurance Company. I'm calling about a claim that was filed on your husband's policy. We need to discuss some questions that have come up. Would you be available to come to our office, say next Tuesday at 10? My voice didn't sound like mine. What kind of questions? I think it would be best to discuss this in person. We've received conflicting information about the beneficiary designation. It's a bit complicated. I've scheduled a meeting with our fraud investigation department. You're welcome to bring legal representation if you'd like. Fraud investigation. I'll be there, I said. I spent the rest of that day photographing everything. The original insurance policy from 2015, the beneficiary change form from March 2024, our marriage license, the birthday card, the bank statements, the credit card statement with the total docs charge. I created a folder on Robert's computer, labeled it Insurance Investigation, saved all the photos there, printed copies, put them in a manila envelope, organized by date. Robert would have been proud. He'd always said I needed to be more systematic with paperwork. Now I had a reason. That evening, Eleanor came by, knocked on the back door, let herself in when I didn't answer right away. I was still at Robert's desk. Maggie, I looked up. I found it, the proof. She came over, looked at the documents spread across the desk, the two insurance forms side by side, the signatures that didn't match. Oh, Maggie. Someone forged Robert's signature, changed the beneficiary to Vanessa, and I can prove it. Eleanor pulled up a chair, sat down next to me. You need a lawyer. I know. I have someone. Susan Chen, elder law attorney. She helped me with my estate planning when Linda was pushing me to make her executor. Eleanor pulled out her phone, found the contact. Susan's good, she's tough, and she's seen this before. I took down the number. Thank you. Call her first thing tomorrow, don't wait. After Eleanor left, I sat there for a long time, just looking at the documents, the proof that my stepdaughter had forged my dead husband's signature, stolen his life insurance, buried him without telling me. Why? Just for money? I twisted my wedding ring. 43 years on my finger. Gold band, simple. Robert had proposed with it at a little Italian restaurant in Hartford. Nothing fancy. He'd been nervous. Dropped the ring, trying to get it out of the box. We'd both laughed. I looked down at my hands. When did they get so old? Wrinkled. Spotted. Robert used to hold them. Tell me they were beautiful. Kiss my fingers when we were watching TV. Now they were just empty. The next morning, I called Susan Chen's office. The receptionist scheduled me for that afternoon, 3 o'clock. I had 4 hours. I spent them organizing the evidence. Timeline on paper, March 8th, Robert admitted to hospital. March 14th, Robert discharged. March 15th, beneficiary change form, dated and notarized. March 18th, $2,000 ATM withdrawal. December 23rd, Robert died. December 24th, funeral I wasn't told about. December 28th, I discovered the second insurance document. Everything documented, everything dated. Susan Chen's office was in a small professional building on Broad Street. Second floor. The waiting room had comfortable chairs. Family photos on her desk through the open door. Her mother, maybe. An older Asian woman. Smiling. The receptionist brought me back at exactly 3 o'clock. Susan stood up, shook my hand. She was maybe mid-50s, professional, warm eyes. "Mrs. Sullivan, I'm so sorry for your loss. Eleanor told me a little about your situation. Please, sit down." I sat, pulled out the manila envelope. My stepdaughter forged my husband's signature, changed his life insurance beneficiary to herself, then buried him without telling me. Susan's expression didn't change, just nodded. "May I see the documents?" I spread them out on her desk. She looked at each one carefully, put on reading glasses, compared the signatures, looked at the dates, the bank statements, the credit card charge. After maybe 5 minutes, she looked up. "This signature." She pointed to the March 2024 insurance form. "See how the R is different? Your husband's R on the marriage license and birthday card has this characteristic loop. The insurance form doesn't. The S is different too, more rounded, less angular." I noticed that. I sat there looking at Robert's signature on our marriage license, then at the insurance form on Susan's desk. They weren't even close. How did I not see this coming? 43 years together. I thought I knew his hand like my own. And the date, March 15th. Your husband was in the hospital until March 14th? Pneumonia. He came home Thursday evening, was in bed all day Friday, March 15th. Susan made a note. "Do you have his medical records from that hospital stay?" "I can get them." "Please do. We'll need the physician's notes, nursing notes, anything that documents his condition during that period." She pulled out a legal pad, started writing. "This is fraud, Mrs. Sullivan, clear fraud. But we need airtight proof. The medical records showing he was incapacitated, the notary's testimony that she never saw him, a forensic document examiner to confirm the signature is forged. Can you help me?" "Yes." She looked at me directly. "This is exactly the kind of case I handle. My mother—" She paused, looked at the photo on her desk. "My mother signed over her house to my brother 15 years ago. He told her it was estate planning. She was in early dementia. Didn't understand what she signed. By the time we caught it, she was in a nursing home he chose. We couldn't reverse it." She looked back at me. "That's why I do this work. I won't let this happen to you." I felt something loosen in my chest. Someone believed me. Someone understood. "What do we do first?" Susan pulled up a document on her computer. "First, I'll file a fraud complaint with Hartford Life Insurance. They have their own investigation department. Second, we'll subpoena your husband's medical records from his March hospitalization. Third, I'll get a formal statement from the notary service. And fourth," she looked at me, "we may need to file a police report. Insurance fraud is a crime. Criminal charges against Vanessa. Is that necessary? That depends on how Hartford Life responds. If they acknowledge the fraud and correct the beneficiary, we may not need to. But if Vanessa fights this, we'll need every tool we have." I nodded. "Do what you need to do. I'll need a retainer. $3,000 to start. I'll bill hourly after that. Elder law cases can be complicated, but this one seems straightforward. The evidence is clear." $3,000. I'd been draining our retirement account to pay bills since Robert died, but this was necessary. "I'll write you a check." A week later, Susan called. "I have the medical records." I drove to her office. She spread the hospital chart on her desk. "Look at this, March 10th. Physician notes. Patient experiencing significant hand tremor, side effect of Levaquin antibiotic, difficulty holding pen, unable to complete intake forms without assistance." She flipped pages. March 12th, nursing notes. Patient unable to sign consent forms independently. Daughter assisted with marking X at signature line. Nurse witnessed. She looked up at me. "Maggie, Robert couldn't have signed that insurance form on March 15th. Physically couldn't have. His hand was shaking too badly from the medication, and he'd just gotten home from the hospital the day before. Still weak, still on the antibiotics. So this proves..." This proves the signature can't be Robert's. We have medical documentation that he was physically incapable of producing a clear, steady signature on that date. She made copies of the relevant pages, highlighted the sections. I'm sending this to Hartford Life with the fraud complaint. This is evidence they can't ignore. 2 days after that, Susan called again. I spoke with Sandra Willis at Total Docs, the notary. What did she say? She remembers. Vanessa came in alone, brought the insurance form already signed. Sandra notarized Vanessa's signature as a witness that she presented the document. Standard procedure when someone can't travel. Susan paused. But here's the key part. Sandra never saw Robert Sullivan, never witnessed him sign anything. She's willing to provide a sworn statement to that effect. So Vanessa brought in a document with a forged signature. Yes, and the notary can testify that she never saw your husband, which means the signature was already on the document when Vanessa arrived, which means Vanessa either forged it herself or she knew it was forged. I sat there, in my living room. Phone pressed to my ear. Vanessa had forged Robert's signature, or had someone else do it, then took the document to a notary, filed it with the insurance company, collected $350,000, and buried Robert without telling me, so I wouldn't find out until it was too late. Mrs. Sullivan? Maggie, are you there? I'm here. Hartford Life is opening a formal investigation. They've assigned a fraud investigator. This will take some time, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, but they're taking it seriously. Thank you, Susan. One more thing. Vanessa will find out. When Hartford Life contacts her about the investigation, she may call you. She may come to your house. She may try to explain, or apologize, or negotiate. Susan's voice was firm. Don't engage. Don't talk to her. Refer everything to me. Anything you say to her could complicate the case. I understand. I mean it, Maggie. This is going to get harder before it gets better. That night, Eleanor brought dinner. Again, chicken casserole this time. We sat at the kitchen table, her food, my grief. You're doing the right thing, she said. I'm not sure. I pushed food around my plate. Part of me still wants to call Vanessa. Fix this. Find out why she did it. Maybe there's an explanation. There's no explanation that makes it okay. I know, but 43 years of trying to keep the peace. It's hard to stop. Eleanor reached across the table. Vanessa buried Robert without telling you. She forged his signature. She stole from you. That's not a mistake. That's not a misunderstanding. That's calculated. I knew she was right, but it still hurt. 3 weeks into the investigation, Susan called with an update. Hartford Life was moving forward. The fraud investigator had reviewed the evidence. This is good, Susan said. But Maggie, prepare yourself. Another 3 to 4 weeks before they make a final determination. I'd been living in limbo, bills piling up, Robert's final medical bills arriving daily, the retirement account getting smaller. I'd been counting on that insurance money, $350,000, the security Robert had planned for me, and Vanessa had it. What do? You wait, and you don't engage with Vanessa if she contacts you. After we hung up, I sat at the kitchen table, looked around the house. Robert and I had bought it in 1985. We'd painted every room, replaced the roof twice, built the sunroom addition ourselves one summer. This house was mine now. But for how long if I couldn't pay the bills? I made coffee. 1 cup. Robert's blue mug stayed in the cabinet now. I'd stopped taking it out every morning. Progress. I sat down with the mail, bills, condolence cards, and an envelope from Vanessa. My hands shook as I opened it. A check, $15,000, and a note. Maggie, I know things are tight. This should help with Dad's final expenses. I'm handling the insurance claim. I'll make sure you're taken care of. Love, Vanessa. I read it 3 times. She was trying to pay me off. $15,000 out of $350,000. I'm handling the insurance claim, like it was hers to handle. I almost called her. 43 years of habit, fix it, smooth it over. Then I remembered. The funeral. She took that from me. For money. I called Susan instead. Don't cash it, don't respond, bring both to my office. This shows consciousness of guilt. That afternoon, I found a letter at Robert's desk, his handwriting, dated 3 years ago, our 40th anniversary. My dearest Maggie, 40 years. How did we get so lucky? You've been my best decision, my favorite person. If something happens to me, I want you to know, everything I have is yours. The house, the savings, the insurance, all of it. Because you made my life worth living. I love you. Always. Robert. I sat there, holding it. Everything I have is yours. Robert had wanted me to have the insurance, and Vanessa had stolen it. Something shifted in me. For 43 years, I'd been the peacemaker, smoothed things over, made everyone comfortable. When Vanessa was rude, I let it go. When she asked for money, I convinced Robert. When she excluded me, I made excuses. But that woman wasn't family. Family doesn't forge your dead husband's signature. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't bury someone and not tell their widow. Robert deserved better than this. And so did I. I drove to the West Hartford Police Department, asked to file a report. What kind of report, ma'am? Insurance fraud, forgery. The officer took my statement. I showed him the documents, the signature comparison, explained the March hospitalization. He called over Detective Morrison. Mrs. Sullivan, the forgery aspect could be criminal. I'll coordinate with your attorney, but this process takes time, months, and it's going to be difficult. This is your stepdaughter. Are you sure? I thought about it. Yes, I'm sure. That evening, I went through Robert's closet. His shirt still smelled like him, Old Spice and coffee. I took everything down, methodically, work shirts, weekend flannels, the anniversary suit, folded them, packed them in boxes for donation. But I kept a few things. His reading glasses. I put them on my desk, so I could see clearly now. His watch. The one I'd given him for his 60th birthday. I put it on my wrist. It was too big. I didn't care. Time to be strong. His favorite coffee mug. The blue one with the chip. I washed it carefully. Put it in the cabinet. Not on the counter. Not thrown away. Just there. When I was ready. Then I went to the living room. The family photos on the wall. Robert and Vanessa at her graduation. Her wedding. Christmas with her kids. I took them all down, wrapped them in newspaper, put them in a box in the garage. The only photo I left up was ours. Our 40th anniversary, just us. That was my family now. My phone buzzed, text from Vanessa. Mom, did you get the check? We should talk about Dad's insurance. There's been a misunderstanding. Can I come by tomorrow? I stared at it. She'd called me Mom. She never called me that. There's been a misunderstanding. No. There'd been fraud. I texted back. My attorney will be in touch. Her reply. What attorney? Maggie, this is ridiculous. Can we just talk? I can explain everything. I blocked her number. 43 years of trying to accommodate her. Done. Saturday morning, I worked in the garden. Robert had always wanted more rose bushes. I went to the nursery. Bought 3. Red. Robert's favorite. Spent 2 hours digging, planting, watering. The physical work felt good. Hands in dirt, sun on my back. Each hole I dug felt like making space for something new, something mine. Eleanor came over with iced tea. We sat on the back steps, looked at the garden. Robert would be proud of you, she said. I hoped so. Monday morning, Susan called. Hartford Life contacted Vanessa about the investigation. Her attorney called. Marcus Delgado. He's already asking about settlement. She hired a lawyer? Yes, and he wants to negotiate before this goes further. Avoid criminal charges. Probably offer to return some of the money. Susan paused. It's your decision. If you want to settle, we discuss terms. If you want to push forward, we do that. I sat there. Robert's watch on my wrist, his reading glasses on my desk, the anniversary letter in my pocket. No settlement, we push forward. You're sure? I'm sure. Robert wanted me to have that insurance, all of it, and Vanessa needs to answer for what she did. Okay, then we keep going. After I hung up, I sat quietly. Something had shifted. I wasn't the same woman who discovered the funeral 3 weeks ago. That woman would have settled, would have kept the peace. But I'd learned something. Some things can't be fixed. Some people aren't family just because they're related. 43 years I'd tried to keep peace in this family, but Robert deserved better than this. And so did I. The investigation dragged on. 6 weeks, then 7. Susan filed the formal fraud complaint with Hartford Life, sent the medical records, the notary statement, the police report, everything documented, everything dated. I paid bills from the retirement account, watched it shrink. The mortgage, Robert's final hospital bill, property taxes, each month, less money, more worry. By week 8, I was down to $12,000 in savings. The insurance money was supposed to solve this. $350,000. Security for the rest of my life. Instead, it was sitting in Vanessa's account while I decided between groceries and the electric bill. Then Susan called. Maggie, we have a problem. Well, not a problem exactly, but a complication. My stomach dropped. What? Marcus Delgado filed a response to the fraud complaint. He's claiming Robert verbally promised Vanessa the insurance money, that it was his intention to change the beneficiary, that Robert told Vanessa he wanted her to have it to help with her financial difficulties. That's not true. I know, but it muddies the water, creates reasonable doubt. It's he said, she said now. Or rather, she said because Robert can't say anything. I sat down. What does this mean? It means we need more evidence, stronger evidence. I've already requested a forensic document analysis, a certified examiner who can testify in court, and I want to get a statement from anyone who can speak to Robert's intentions. Did he tell anyone else about the insurance? Anyone who can contradict Vanessa's claim? I thought about it. Eleanor. Robert talked to her sometimes. Garden conversations, driveway chats, they were friendly. Call her. Ask if Robert ever mentioned the insurance. Anything about his plans for you after he died. That afternoon, I went next door. Eleanor was in her kitchen, making cookies. The smell reminded me of every Thursday book club for 15 years. Eleanor, I need to ask you something. Did Robert ever talk to you about his insurance? About making sure I'd be taken care of? She wiped her hands on a towel. Thought about it. Yes, actually, yes. 2 months before he died. Maybe late October? We were both out getting the mail. He mentioned the insurance. Said he was glad it was finally paid off. That at least you'd be taken care of when he was gone. She paused. I remember because he seemed worried about something. Like he sensed something was coming. I asked if everything was okay. He said fine. Just getting older. Thinking about the future. Would you testify to that? In a legal statement? Absolutely. Whatever you need. 3 weeks later, another call. This time, Marcus Delgado himself. Susan had given him my number as my attorney of record. Professional courtesy, she said. I shouldn't have answered, but I did. Mrs. Sullivan, this is Marcus Delgado. I represent Vanessa Sullivan Torres. I'm calling to discuss a potential settlement that might benefit both parties. I have an attorney. I understand, but I thought we might speak directly, client to client. This doesn't need to be adversarial. His voice was smooth, practiced. Mrs. Sullivan, my client is willing to return $150,000 to you, immediately. No delay, no lengthy investigation, no court proceedings. You'll have the money within a week. All parties drop the fraud allegations and move forward. $150,000. That would cover everything. The bills, the mortgage, the property taxes, 6 months of breathing room, maybe a year. And Vanessa keeps $200,000? My client needs to resolve significant financial obligations. The settlement would allow both of you to move forward with dignity. No criminal charges, no family discord, a clean resolution. I stood there, phone pressed to my ear, looking at the kitchen table where Robert used to sit. $150,000 out of $350,000, less than half. I'll discuss it with my attorney, I said. Of course. But Mrs. Sullivan, the offer is time sensitive. The longer this investigation continues, the more complicated things become. Legal fees alone could consume a significant portion of the benefit. Think about it. After he hung up, I sat down, called Susan. They offered settlement, $150,000. Susan was quiet for a moment. That's actually not terrible. You'd get the money immediately, avoid months of litigation, save on legal fees. But it's less than half. Yes, but it's guaranteed, and it's soon. The alternative is continuing the investigation. Maybe 8 more weeks, maybe longer. Then possible court proceedings if criminal charges are filed. Could be 6 months, could be a year. And Maggie, your bank account is getting low. I know that. I looked around the house. Robert's desk, the wedding photo on the mantel, the garden outside where I'd planted the roses. Susan, they're admitting guilt, aren't they? By offering settlement? Yes, basically. If we had a weak case, they'd fight. But they're scared. The evidence is strong. Then why would I settle for less than Robert wanted me to have? A pause. You're sure? I'm sure. No settlement. Robert wanted me to have that insurance. All of it. Not part of it. All of it. Okay. Then we keep fighting. 2 days later, Vanessa showed up at my door. I hadn't seen her since before Robert died. She looked terrible. Eyes red, hair unwashed, weight loss obvious, clothes wrinkled. She stood on my porch. Please, can we just talk, just you and me? Every instinct said no. Susan had told me not to engage, but she was standing there, crying. And 43 years of habit is hard to break. I let her in. We sat at the kitchen table, Robert's table, where we'd eaten 1,000 meals together. Vanessa cried, real tears, messy. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for it to go this far. Todd pressured me. He said we'd lose everything. The house, the kids' schools, everything we'd built. I panicked. I wasn't thinking clearly. She reached across the table, tried to touch my hand. I pulled back. It was wrong. I know it was wrong. I should have just asked you. Should have talked to Dad before he got so sick, but I was desperate. She wiped her face. Can we please just split it? You take half. I take half. We both move on. Like a family. Dad would have wanted that. He would have wanted us to work it out, not fight like this, not lawyers and police and court. For a second, just a second, I almost said yes. This was Vanessa, Robert's daughter, the little girl in the wedding photo, the flower girl who wouldn't smile, the child of his first marriage. He'd loved her, had wanted me to love her, had wanted us to be family. Then I remembered. The funeral. The last time I would have seen Robert. The last goodbye. The moment when I could have touched his hand one more time. Told him I loved him. Said the words that needed saying. She took that from me. So she could hide the insurance fraud. You need to leave, I said. But Maggie, my attorney will be in contact with yours. Please leave my house. Please, just listen. Now. She stood up, tried one more time. I'm sorry, I really am. I didn't respond, just walked to the door, opened it, waited. She left. I closed the door, locked it, stood there for 5 minutes, shaking. I'd done it. Held the boundary, didn't cave, didn't smooth it over, didn't make peace. Progress. That evening, coffee had become a ritual again. 1 cup. Robert's mug stayed in the cabinet. I sat in my chair. Not his. Small victories. The grief was still there, everywhere. But I was learning to carry it differently. Not dragging it behind me, just carrying it. Part of me now. Something I lived with. Eleanor called, asked if I wanted company. I said yes. She came over with Thai takeout. We ate at the counter, talked about the book club's latest pick. A mystery novel. Someone died in chapter 3. We tried to figure out who did it. Normal conversation, normal evening. After she left, I sat on the couch, looked at the anniversary photo on the mantle, Robert and me, smiling, 43 years. "I'm trying," I said to the photo. "I'm really trying." A week after that, Susan called with news. The forensic document examiner finished her analysis. And 98% certainty that the signature on the March 2024 beneficiary form is not Robert's. Linda Morrison is one of the top examiners in Connecticut, 30 years of experience. She identified specific inconsistencies, letter formation, pressure points, the absence of tremor from his medication. The report is 15 pages, detailed, professional, conclusive. So we have proof. We have expert testimony. This is the kind of evidence that wins cases. Marcus knows this too. He'll push harder for settlement now. No settlement. I know, but be prepared. This is about to get intense. Thursday afternoon, book club, the library meeting room. 8 women, same ones for 10 years. They all knew what was happening with Vanessa. Small town. Word spreads. They tried not to mention it, asked how I was doing, sympathetic looks, careful questions about the situation. After, Eleanor walked me to my car. "They don't understand," she said. "They think you should forgive family. They think it's harsh, going after her like this." I know. They don't know what it's like. To be taken advantage of by family, to be pushed aside. They see Vanessa as Robert's daughter. They don't see what she did. I looked at Eleanor. "You know what it's like." "Yes, I do, and I'm telling you, you're doing the right thing." 6 weeks after I refused the settlement, Susan called. Hartford Life has completed their investigation. The fraud investigator wants to meet all parties. Tuesday at 10. This is it, Maggie. They have their findings. They'll make their determination. Whether the claim paid to Vanessa was fraudulent, whether they'll void it and reissue to you, whether they'll file criminal charges. Will Vanessa be there? Yes, and Marcus, and David Reed, the fraud investigator, and Patricia Monroe, the claims director. It's the final meeting, the showdown. I sat there, phone pressed to my ear. This was it. After 2 months of investigation, after refusing settlement twice, after holding boundaries I'd never held before. What do I need to bring? Nothing. I have all the evidence. You just need to be there, and Maggie. Susan paused. Be prepared. Vanessa's going to fight. She's going to try to negotiate. Marcus is good at what he does. This won't be easy. I know. Don't engage with her. Don't respond to anything she says directly. Let me handle it. Okay. Tuesday, 10 a.m., Hartford Life headquarters. Conference room on the 8th floor. This is where we find out if we win. Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock, Hartford Life Insurance Company headquarters in downtown Hartford. The building was glass and steel, modern, corporate, cold. Susan met me in the lobby. Ready? I touched Robert's watch on my wrist. Ready. We took the elevator to the 8th floor. The halls were quiet, carpeted. Tasteful art on the walls, corporate neutrality. A receptionist directed us to conference room C. The door was already open. The room was large, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Hartford spread out below, gray sky. December, cold pressing against the glass. A massive conference table dominated the room, polished wood. So shiny I could see my reflection. The air conditioning was running too high. I was cold before I even sat down, the kind of cold that settles in your bones. Vanessa was already there, sitting on the far side of the table, Marcus Delgado next to her, navy suit, expensive watch, leather briefcase open in front of him. She looked up when I walked in. Our eyes met. She looked away first. 2 other people in the room, a man in his 50s, gray suit, professional, and a woman, maybe 60, severe, elegant. They stood when we entered. The man extended his hand. Mrs. Sullivan, I'm David Reed, fraud investigator for Hartford Life. This is Patricia Monroe, claims director. I shook their hands, sat down next to Susan, across the table from Vanessa. David Reed sat at the head of the table, opened a folder. "Thank you all for coming. We've completed our investigation into the death benefit claim filed on Robert Sullivan's life insurance policy, policy number 7432189, death benefit of $350,000. He looked around the table, made eye contact with each of us. "This meeting is to present our findings and make a final determination regarding the validity of the claim paid to Vanessa Sullivan Torres on December 28, 2024. Vanessa's lawyer leaned forward. "Before we begin, I'd like to state for the record that my client disputes any allegations of fraud. The beneficiary change was made in accordance with Robert Sullivan's wishes. He verbally expressed his intention to—" David Reed held up a hand. "Mr. Delgado will get to your client's statement, but first, let me present the evidence we've gathered." He opened the folder, pulled out documents, set them on the table one by one. Evidence Item 1, the original life insurance policy, issued January 2015, beneficiary designation, Margaret Sullivan, primary beneficiary, 100%. He slid the document across the table. I'd seen it 100 times, but seeing it here, official, in a corporate conference room, it felt different, final. Evidence Item 2, beneficiary change form, dated March 15, 2024, beneficiary change to Vanessa Sullivan Torres, primary beneficiary, 100%. He placed it next to the first document. "Notice the signature discrepancy." He pointed. "And here, bank records showing $350,000 deposited to Ms. Sullivan Torres' personal checking account on December 28, 2024, 24 hours after the claim was approved and paid." Marcus started to speak. David Reed continued. Evidence Item 3, medical records from Robert Sullivan's hospitalization at St. Francis Hospital, March 8th through March 14th, 2024, treatment for pneumonia. He pulled out hospital charts. Physician notes, March 10th. I'll read the relevant section. Patient experiencing significant hand tremor, side effect of Levaquin antibiotic, difficulty holding pen, unable to complete intake forms without assistance. He flipped a page. Nursing notes, March 12th. Patient unable to sign consent forms independently. Family member assisted. He looked up. The alleged beneficiary change is dated March 15th, 2024, one day after Mr. Sullivan was discharged from the hospital, while still on the medication causing hand tremor. Vanessa shifted in her chair. David pulled out another document. We also have a statement from Dr. Andrew Patterson, Robert Sullivan's physician for over 20 years. Dr. Patterson provided a written statement based on his treatment of Mr. Sullivan during that hospitalization. He put on his reading glasses. I'll read the relevant portion. Robert Sullivan was under my care from March 8th through March 14th, 2024, for pneumonia. During this hospitalization, he was prescribed Levaquin, a fluoroquinolone antibiotic known to cause hand tremors as a side effect. My clinical notes from March 10th document significant hand tremor, making writing difficult. In my medical opinion, based on his condition during this period, Robert Sullivan would have been physically incapable of producing a clear, steady signature on March 15th, 2024. David looked up. Dr. Patterson is prepared to testify under oath if needed. Marcus leaned back in his chair, said nothing. Evidence Item 4. David picked up his phone. Press speaker. I have Sandra Willis on the line. Ms. Willis is the notary public who notarized the beneficiary change form on March 15th, 2024. A woman's voice came through the speaker. This is Sandra Willis. Ms. Willis, can you describe what happened on March 15th when the beneficiary form was brought to your office? Yes. A woman came in. She said her name was Vanessa Sullivan. She said her father was too ill to come to the office. She brought paperwork, life insurance form. It was already signed. Did you see Robert Sullivan in person that day? No, just his daughter. And did you witness Robert Sullivan sign the document? A pause. I could hear her breathing. No, I did not. So the document was already signed when Ms. Sullivan brought it to you? Yes, that's correct. And you notarized her signature? As a witness that she brought the document? Yes, that's standard procedure when someone can't travel due to medical. But you cannot verify that Robert Sullivan actually signed that form. You never saw him sign it. Another pause. Longer. She knew what she was saying. No, I cannot verify that. Thank you, Ms. Willis. David ended the call, looked at Marcus. Your client brought a document to a notary, a document allegedly signed by her father, but the notary never saw the father, never witnessed his signature, only confirmed that your client brought in paperwork. Marcus shifted. Notaries can witness that a document was brought in. That's standard procedure when someone can't travel due to evidence item 5. David pulled out another document, thick, bound. Forensic Document Analysis by Linda Morrison, Certified Forensic Document Examiner, 30 years of experience. She compared Robert Sullivan's known signatures, from his marriage license, birthday cards, bank documents, with the signature on the March 2024 beneficiary form. He opened the report. Her conclusion, and I quote, based on analysis of letter formation, pen pressure, stroke consistency, and tremor patterns, I can state with 98% certainty that the signature on the beneficiary change form dated March 15, 2024, is not the signature of Robert Sullivan. He closed the report. 98% certainty. Professional level forgery. The room was quiet, just the hum of the air conditioning, the sound of papers on the table. Finally, David said, we have a sworn statement from Eleanor Hartwick, neighbor and friend of the deceased. She states that approximately 2 months before his death, Robert Sullivan told her, and I quote, at least Maggie will be taken care of. I'm glad the insurance is finally paid off. He looked at Marcus. That contradicts your client's claim that Robert verbally promised her the insurance money. Patricia Monroe spoke for the first time. Her voice was measured, professional. Mr. Delgado, would you like to present your client's defense? Marcus cleared his throat. My client maintains that Robert Sullivan verbally expressed his desire to change the beneficiary, that he intended for his daughter to have the insurance proceeds to help with her financial difficulties. The signature may have been executed while he was ill, which could account for inconsistencies, but the intent was clear. Do you have any evidence of this verbal promise? Patricia asked. My client's testimony. Anyone else who can corroborate? Marcus hesitated. Her husband, Todd Torres, was present during some conversations. Anyone not directly related to the beneficiary? Silence. Patricia Monroe folded her hands, looked at each person at the table. Then she spoke. Based on the evidence presented, Hartford Life has made a determination. I held my breath. Robert's watch felt heavy on my wrist. The beneficiary change form dated March 15, 2024, is determined to be fraudulent. The signature is not Robert Sullivan's. The medical records demonstrate he was physically incapable of producing that signature on that date. The notary confirms she never witnessed him sign. The forensic analysis confirms forgery with 98% certainty. She looked at Vanessa. The claim paid to Vanessa Sullivan Torres on December 28, 2024, was obtained through fraudulent means. We are voiding that claim. The original beneficiary designation, Margaret Sullivan, dated January 2015, remains in effect. My chest loosened. I could breathe again. Mrs. Sullivan, Patricia looked at me, the death benefit of $350,000 will be reprocessed and paid to you as the rightful beneficiary. You should receive the funds within 10 business days. She turned to Vanessa. Ms. Sullivan Torres, you are required to return all funds received from the fraudulent claim, $350,000 plus interest accrued. Hartford Life will be filing criminal fraud charges with the Connecticut State Police within 72 hours. Vanessa broke down. started crying, loud, messy sobs. We were desperate. Todd's business failed. We were going to lose everything. The house, the kids' schools, everything. I didn't know what else to do. I looked at her, felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even pity. Just tired. So tired. "You could have asked," I said quietly. Everyone looked at me. "You could have asked," I repeated. "Robert would have helped you. We would have figured something out. But you didn't ask. You forged his signature. You stole from him. And you buried him without telling me so I wouldn't find out." My voice was steady, measured, not yelling, not emotional, just stating facts. "I didn't get to say goodbye because you were afraid I'd find out about the insurance. You took that from me, Vanessa, the last time I would have seen him, for money." She couldn't meet my eyes, just kept crying. Marcus tried to negotiate. Immediate repayment plan, no criminal charges, civil settlement. Make this go away. Susan cut him off. Her voice was steel. "Your client forged a signature, committed insurance fraud, excluded a widow from her husband's funeral to cover it up." She looked at Patricia Monroe. "There's no settlement here." Patricia nodded. "The criminal complaint will be filed as stated. This meeting is concluded." As we left, Susan touched my arm. "There's one more thing you need to do, for Robert." I knew what she meant. When they read the decision, I felt relief. Not triumph, just tired relief. Robert would have hated all of this, the lawyers, the confrontation, the public nature of it, but it was done. The truth was established. The insurance was mine, the way he'd wanted. Vanessa would answer for what she did. Justice. Finally. But the grief was still there. Robert was still gone. Nothing brought him back. The check arrived 10 days later, certified mail. I signed for it at the door, opened it at the kitchen table. Hartford Life Insurance Company, death benefit payment, $350,000, made out to Margaret Sullivan. I sat there, just looking at it. This was what Robert wanted, security, for me. So I wouldn't worry, so I could keep the house, live comfortably, be okay. I drove to the bank that afternoon, deposited it. The teller was professional, processed it like any other transaction. But I saw her glance at the amount. $350,000. Life-changing money, life-saving money. I paid off the property tax bill that same day. Online, immediate transfer, $14,000. Gone from the worry list. Robert's final medical bills, $6,000. Paid. The credit card I'd been using for groceries, $2,200. Paid in full. The mortgage. I sat there looking at the balance. $218,000. 40 years of payments. We'd bought the house in 1985. Paid it down slowly, carefully. Robert had always been methodical about it. Extra payments when we could afford them. Refinanced once in 2010. I could pay it off now. Own the house outright. Free and clear. I clicked the button, paid the full balance. The house was mine. Finally. Completely. The retirement account I'd been draining. I transferred $100,000 back in. Built it back up. Not as much as it had been, but enough. Enough to live on. Enough to be comfortable. Enough to stop worrying about choosing between groceries and the electric bill. I still had money left. Nearly $100,000 sitting there, available for whatever came next. Robert had done this, had planned this, had made sure I'd be okay. And now I was. 2 weeks after the meeting, Susan called with the legal outcomes. Vanessa took a plea deal. I'd been expecting it. What kind? Insurance fraud in the 3rd degree, felony, 2 years probation, 300 hours of community service, court-ordered restitution. She has to repay the full $350,000, monthly installments deducted directly from Todd's income. They set up a payment plan, $2,000 a month for the next 14 years. 14 years. Vanessa would be paying for this for a long time. The The prosecutor considered her lack of prior criminal record, her financial desperation, no jail time, but the felony conviction stands. She'll lose her notary license, can't work in finance or insurance, and there's a no-contact order. 2 years. She can't call you, can't text, can't come to your house. No contact. For 2 years, Vanessa couldn't reach me even if she wanted to. Is that okay? Susan asked. I thought about it. No jail felt right. She'd been desperate, not evil, but she'd made choices, bad choices, and she needed to answer for them. That's fine. That's more than fine. Good. Then we're done with the legal part. The rest is up to you. 3 weeks after the Hartford Life meeting, I planned the memorial service. Robert deserved one, a real one, not whatever Vanessa had done. I called Father Michael at St. Paul's Episcopal, the little church on Maple Street where Robert and I had gone for 30 years. He agreed immediately. When were you thinking? Saturday, 2 weeks from now, small, just people who actually knew him. Of course. Robert deserves this, Maggie. I sent invitations, handwritten, 20 people, Eleanor, Susan Chen. Dr. Patterson sent his regrets but included flowers and a note. The book club ladies, Robert's old colleagues from the utility company where he'd worked for 35 years, his fishing buddy Tom, a few neighbors from Sycamore Lane, people who'd actually known him, cared about him, not Vanessa. The no-contact order covered memorial services, too. The service was simple. Robert would have hated a fuss. Father Michael said prayers. I read the letter Robert had written me for our 40th anniversary, the one I'd found in his desk, about how I was his best decision, his favorite person, how 40 years hadn't been enough. My voice broke halfway through. Eleanor reached over, squeezed my hand. I finished it. We sang Amazing Grace, Robert's favorite hymn. Tom told a story about the time Robert caught a 20-pound bass at Lake Warramog, made everyone laugh. That was good. Robert would have liked that. Laughter, not just tears. After I spread some of his ashes in the memorial garden outside the church, saved the rest. For the lake cabin where we'd spent every summer for 20 years. I'd go in the spring, when it was warm, when the lake was calm, scatter them there. Where he'd been happiest, it wasn't the service Vanessa planned, but it was Robert's, and mine. That's what mattered. Eleanor became my closest friend. We met every morning at Main Street Cafe. 7 o'clock, coffee and muffins. She told me her full story one morning. My daughter Linda tried to manipulate my estate plans last year, wanted to be executor instead of my attorney, had all these reasons, said it would be easier, more personal. Family should handle family things. Eleanor stirred her coffee. I almost did it, to keep the peace. Then I watched you fight Vanessa. You didn't back down. It gave me courage. What did you do? Updated everything. My nephew James is executor now. He's an accountant, trustworthy, living trust to prevent anyone from manipulating things if I get sick. She looked at me. You saved me from making a terrible mistake. Now Eleanor brings other widows to our coffee group, 3 of us so far. Mary, whose son keeps asking for loans. Patricia, whose daughter wants to move her to a cheaper apartment and sell the house. We talk about grief, loneliness, how to protect ourselves. Eleanor calls it the Tuesday Coffee Club. It helps all of us. Susan Chen had reduced her legal fees by half when the final bill came. This one mattered, she said, when I protested. I wanted to win it. She asked me to speak at an elder law workshop she teaches at the community college, share my story, warning signs, how I caught the fraud. I was nervous, but I did it. 20 elderly people in the room, mostly women, widows probably. Afterward, 3 of them came up to me, asked questions about their own situations. One woman, Betty, 74, caught her son changing beneficiaries the next week because of what I'd said. She got an attorney, stopped it. Susan and I have coffee monthly now, professional friendship. She refers widow clients to me sometimes for peer support. someone who understands. It helps them. It helps me. Dr. Patterson sent me a note 2 weeks after the case resolved, handwritten, on his practice letterhead. Mrs. Sullivan, I should have noticed something was wrong when Vanessa visited Robert in the hospital. I saw her helping him with paperwork. I should have questioned it. I'm sorry I didn't. Your case opened my eyes to how easily patients can be taken advantage of during hospitalization. I'm implementing a new policy. Any legal documents signed during hospital stays now require witnessed verification by hospital staff, not just family assistants. Hartford Hospital is adopting the same protocol. Your situation will help protect other patients, other families. Thank you for fighting for what was right. Dr. Andrew Patterson. I folded the note, put it with Robert's anniversary letter. Robert's situation was going to help people. That meant something, a legacy I hadn't expected. A month after everything settled, I met with Susan one more time. Estate planning. Let's make sure this never happens to you, she said. We drafted a new will, clear beneficiaries. My nephew David, Robert's sister's son, an accountant, trustworthy, honest. He'd get the house and the remaining assets. Eleanor was my healthcare proxy. Susan was executor. I set up a living trust, protections against fraud. If I'm ever incapacitated, David and Susan co-manage everything. 2 signatures required for major decisions. No one person can make changes alone. I also set up something else. $10,000 to the Connecticut Elder Abuse Prevention Coalition in Robert's name for legal defense funds to help people like me who can't afford attorneys like Susan. There's a plaque at the senior center now, small, bronze, Robert Sullivan Memorial Fund. His name helping people. That felt right. First morning coffee without crying, 6 weeks after the case ended. I sat at the kitchen table with 1 cup, realized I'd smiled at something Eleanor said yesterday. Small victory. The grief was still there, everywhere, but so was life. I planted the memorial rose bush on a Saturday in March. Red roses, Robert's favorite. Eleanor helped me dig the hole. We worked in silence mostly, comfortable silence, the kind you only have with real friends. When we finished, Eleanor patted the soil down. He'd like that, I thought, so too. 3 months later, Vanessa's apology letter arrived. 2 pages, handwritten. I read it once. She was sorry. She'd been desperate. Gambling addiction she hadn't told anyone about. Not just Todd's business failures, her addiction too. Gamblers Anonymous now. Therapy. They'd lost the house. The kids were in public school, rebuilding slowly. She understood if I never forgave her. I folded the letter, put it in a drawer, closed the drawer, didn't respond, didn't destroy it, just put it away. Maybe someday. Maybe not. But not today. 6 months later, Susan called. Remember that workshop you spoke at? One of the attendees, Betty, the woman whose son tried to change her beneficiaries. She's in your situation now. Her son hired a lawyer. She wants to talk to you. Peer support. Would you be willing? I thought about it. 6 months ago, I would have said no, would have wanted to put all of this behind me, move on, forget. But now, yes, I'll talk to her. Thank you, Maggie. Robert's story was helping people. My story was helping people. That was enough. 6 months later, I had a routine. Morning coffee, 1 cup. Robert's blue mug stayed in the cabinet. Clean, ready if I needed it, but not out every day. I'd worked through that. The house was mine, fully paid off. The garden was thriving, roses everywhere. The memorial bush was the biggest of all, red blooms every summer. Robert would have been pleased. Eleanor came by most mornings. We'd sit on the porch, talk about nothing important, books we'd read, recipes we'd tried, her grandkids, my nephew David and his family. Normal conversation, normal life. I still wore Robert's watch, every day, not as armor anymore, not as a shield, just remembering. He'd wanted me to be okay, and I was. Not the same as before, but okay. The The book club was on Thursdays, still meeting at the library, still arguing about mystery novels. I hosted at my house last month, living room full of women debating some plot twist. Eleanor made cookies. It felt normal. Life felt normal. Some days were hard. His birthday, our anniversary, the day he died. I'd sit with the wedding album, let myself miss him. That was okay. Grief didn't go away. I just learned to carry it better. Vanessa was gone. The no-contact order was still in effect. I didn't think about her much anymore. Occasionally, I'd wonder about Tyler and Emma, my step-grandchildren. But that ship had sailed. Some relationships can't be saved. I'd made peace with that. The house was quiet, but not lonely. I'd learned the difference. Quiet meant peace, space, room to breathe. This wasn't the retirement Robert and I had planned. We were supposed to travel more, see the Grand Canyon, take that Alaskan cruise. But this was mine. I'd built it from grief and anger and determination. It was enough. The advocacy work started small. Susan asked me to speak at that elder law workshop, then another, then a senior center in New Haven. Word spread. I told my story, the warning signs I'd missed, the red flags, how I caught the fraud, what to look for, how to protect yourself. People listened, really listened. 3 women caught beneficiary fraud early because of my workshops. One man discovered his son had been siphoning from his account. They stopped it, got attorneys, protected themselves. I started volunteering at the Connecticut Legal Aid Office on Tuesdays. Elder Law Clinic. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a widow who survived this. People trust that. They tell me things they wouldn't tell attorneys. I listen. I help them see the red flags. The Margaret Sullivan Memorial Fund has grown. We've helped 4 elderly people afford legal defense. Susan handles the cases pro bono. The fund covers filing fees and investigation costs. Last month, the Hartford Courant did an article, Widow Turns Personal Tragedy into Elder Abuse Advocacy. They interviewed me, Susan, Eleanor. It ran on the front page of the local section. Robert would have been mortified. He hated attention. But I think he'd be proud. I'm not trying to save the world. Just maybe. Prevent what happened to me from happening to someone else. Give them the tools I wish I'd had. That's Robert's legacy now. That's mine too. If you're listening to this and you're over 60, please hear me. Elder financial abuse is real. It happens in good families, to smart people, to people who think they're protected. Here's what to watch for. Family members suddenly asking about your estate plans, repeatedly, urgently. Pressure to make changes right away. Beneficiary changes you don't remember making. Signatures on documents from times you were sick or hospitalized. Being excluded from important decisions. Family meetings that happen without you. Documents you're asked to sign later or when you feel better. Pressure to add someone to your bank account. To make them power of attorney, to change your will, always immediately, always urgently. If something feels wrong, it probably is. What you can do right now: review your insurance policies, retirement accounts, check the beneficiaries, make sure they're who you intended, get your own attorney, not a family member's recommendation, your own. Elder law specialists exist for a reason. Tell someone you trust, a friend, a neighbor, about your estate plans. Someone outside the family who can notice if things change suddenly. Update your will every few years. Keep original documents secure in a safe deposit box, not at home where family can access them. And please, don't let family loyalty override self-protection. I did that for 43 years. I loved Vanessa because Robert loved her. I ignored red flags because I didn't want to cause problems. It cost me. It almost cost me everything. You deserve to be protected, even from family, especially from family. Resources are out there. Adult protective services, elder law attorneys, legal aid clinics. Use them. Don't wait until it's too late. Robert's gone. But if this story helps even one person protect themselves, then something good came from it. That's enough. Sometimes I still can't believe they buried him without telling me. But I'm here. I'm standing. And I made sure Robert's memory means something. That counts for something.